Okay, so I'm just about ready to get started. I'm just adjusting a couple things. But in a moment we'll be switching over, I think. Let's talk about the purpose of today's runs, just to give you an idea. We won't be using the stream created character. We'll be doing that, I think, on the weekdays. But I think for the limited time for today, we're gonna go for the quote-unquote optimal runs. We'll discuss a little about these runs before we begin them, since I'll be doing them pretty much back to back. I'll try to explain some of the strategies as we go through, but the intent of it is to make it really quick. Hey Chris, hope you're doing well. Hopefully you'd also like to join, because it does make some of the quests a little easier. So today we're going to be looking for, yeah, no dumpling today. Not enough time, chat. We need top tier characters to carry us. So I'm looking for an endgame item, for those that are not aware, called the V101. It is considered basically the best unit in the game. It has almost no competition. It's something that adds a small bonus to all of your stats, and it counts as the same attack speed increase as the best attack speed increase item in the game, Heavenly Battle, which I believe is 40%. So because it does all of those things, it gets you to your max stats a lot faster. There's a lot of builds that just assume you get this if you were to look online on how to cap your stats, as there is a hard cap per character class, per race, per gender, of what your max stats can be, and a lot of those figure this item into play. We'll add some PSO is going to help you unwind. So we are going to do 2 different quests where you could technically farm this item. I will show you why I have a Fomar set up for this, because this character can do both of them very easily, both in single player and multiplayer. There's honestly no downside to it. So I feel this is one of the most optimal choices. The only other choice I would even maybe consider might be the Faux Newman, but funny enough, I feel like the Fomar who we're about to use is probably still better in all those scenarios, especially if you do it multiplayer. Because multiplayer favors ATP, and Fomar has the most ATP. And if you need to use force techniques in single player, you can still kind of option select, since spells are really not that effective on bosses. And shaving time off of bosses like Dark Falls is much more important than me taking one more cast on certain waves. To be honest with you, chat. I'll lose the 2 minutes on random enemy encounters over 4 minutes on Dark Falls by not being able to kill Dark Falls. That is such a waste of time if you can't kill that boss quickly. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the game. And we are going to start off with a little bit of episode 4. Now, this quest is absolutely amazing. I'm going to tell you a couple of key statistics of why this quest is probably the best quest to do, period. Even if you don't go for this specific item, if you look across the board, whether it is things like Gertabulu, whether it is something like the Zoo, whether it's the Dorphon, it is ranked number 1, I think, in all of them, maybe rank 2 Gertabulu with one exception, as the most enemy spawns you can find in a quest. So just right off the bat, it is just so much better than almost every other quest. Like, comparatively, I want to say, to give an example, the next highest amount of zoos you can find is Massive Attack B, which gives, I believe, 28. It's been a while since I played, but I believe it's 28. Whereas this quest gives 72. 72, chat, and we're going to be using that 72 to hopefully find a V101. I don't know why there's so many zoos in this quest, but honestly speaking, even compared to the next best quest specifically for zoos, this one is still even better than that, because 90% of the time, you're going to be in a big, wide open room, whereas that other quest I just mentioned has a lot of really awful room spawns for them. Like, for example, Chris would be very well aware, but there's a zigzag room in the underground with lava in between that shoots fire constantly, and that is one of the worst rooms in the game in episode 4. And that's where, like, half the zoos are in that quest, and it is not worth doing. I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I do any other massive attack. I just quit out early rather than do that one. Yeah, Lava Room is garbage. So even if you were to look at things for like the max enemy count, they are not good. Whereas this quest, so many enemies, so much XP, really great drop rate, even for things like Easter egg, really high chances of multiple rare enemies. It's just a fantastic quest. So if you haven't seen it before, we're going to be starting with the Christmas Fiasco in episode 4. It is just absolutely ridiculous how good this quest is. We're going to let Chris know that he rocks since he's free. And we're going to go ahead and make the game. Now, the reason I said that it's really convenient for me to be a Fomar, one, Forces are without a doubt the best character clear, single player, and probably multiplayer. Hello, Chris, hope you're doing well. Especially in small groups. Maybe in large groups, not so much, you can argue something different. But in terms of being able to do this on your own, there's just no contest. Forces just clear everything so easily, and if you have any amount of ATP, then you kind of overcome some of the more annoying aspects of being a force in this kind of quest, which is running out of TP. I'm just gonna very briefly check to see if I have all my items stocked. I do. You know what? I'm gonna try something a little different for the surface. I think this is the first time I have ever used this item, to be honest with you. You get to see it live on stream if it's in my share bank. Oh, it helps if I hit the right button. There we go. I just want to see. Do I have it? I do have it. You know what, chat? We're actually just going to equip a red ring. And that leads into the second point I want to talk about. So the other run we're going to do not only gives V101, but it gives red ring. People are probably more familiar with that one, and that's going to be the Towards the Future. Yeah, I'm going to be so tanky. I really don't need the benefits of 3 Seal on the surface. Nothing does dark damage, nothing does light. It still gives within 3 resistance, or all the key resistances, and it just makes me super tanky, and my spells deal more damage, and I have more accuracy. What a ridiculous shield. So we're going full, I don't care anymore, everything is about to die. Just like you know. The damage we can deal is completely astronomical. Almost 1,400 ATP with a weapon. I am basically a hunter right now. It's actually kind of crazy. What is my ATP like with that? Ooh, 1865 on a force. That is just way too high. That makes no sense. Oh, I should probably take care of the zoo. I'll stun lock the zoo. If you could kill the zoo, that would be great. But I'll definitely be your Asteron belt, buddy. I just want to make sure that the zoo doesn't go anywhere. That spawns behind me, which is very rude. But basically, if I stun lock it, it will stay in sync for both players. If not, I'll just kill it with Rabarda. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. Alright, so I'm just gonna switch to Asteron Belt for a little bit. I'm doing like 392, I wanna say. Not a bad amount. No worries, it happens. Sometimes the zoo meanders awkwardly. So what I see on my screen for where he's at is not necessarily where the zoo is at for my friend. Yeah, I'm doing like 500 of power swings, so this is just saving me so much TP in multiplayer. In single player, it's okay. I would probably use, probably Grants this entire time. Oh yeah, Dorfan will also charge away with his butt towards another player. It doesn't really make any sense. Alright, I'm gonna hopefully stun lock them. This is one of the few waves where it probably makes the most sense to spam Rabarda. Unfortunately, I have a weapon equipped, so it does make things a little slower. So they got out of the stun lock very briefly. Now that it's just a couple of them, it's faster just to grants. Just speed that up a little. Put a little Gifoe out there, just to make sure you don't get struck. I don't like to spam Gifoe leading into this wave, because sometimes it'll make a Rappy leave like that. Unfortunately, only one Rappy left due to that. Since this is the Christmas event, it's very good to stop them from running away. So every single drop is potentially a present. I'll just take advantage of my Resta, another great reason the forces are super overpowered here. There's a lot of set damage that's hard to avoid in this particular chapter. So I just got a luck material and an HP material. Luck material is supposed to be one of the hardest materials to get. And I think we're at like 50 at this point. So I could probably make another character with that. Like, even if you didn't factor in a V101, I think you only need 45 luck material to cap a character. So even if we assume we were never going to get anything that ever maxed our stats and keep it on us permanently, we can still cap luck, which is very silly. Now, the downside of being the Fomar is that unless you have something called a Resta Merge, or you switch items to something that increases Resta range. I'm trying to think of an example for males. My brain keeps going to females, since I usually only care about that for females. I'll think about it. I'm like, I don't think they can use Mariner's Bag, for example. It'll come to me later. But anyway, those increase the Resta range, and that makes up for the fact that... Does Glide Divine do Resta specifically? I guess it does. I was trying to think which one that it added. Yeah, I know Shifted D-Band is a branch of Papu Papu, which is the only way to increase Shifted D-Band range on males. Like, there's like random esoteric facts I know about the game, but when it comes to support roles, I usually just play the females, so I don't usually have to worry about that. Anyway, our damage is completely insane. I'm basically just gonna act as another hunter with a lot of Resta spam and also the capability of debuffing. That is such a shame. A level 20 Gabarda, what a waste. Not a good spell. I was thinking as a joke at one point I would try to use it just to show how bad it was. People could understand why I don't use it at high levels and why Gabarda is completely superior to it. Anyway, this would normally consume all of my TP to kill. There's enemies, the purple ones that require ice damage to kill, and the lizards that spew gas, as well as the rappies, require fire damage. Or I could just use my big old spear and murder them with Red Ring. Now, unfortunately, I did get hit there. Stacking Gafoe on that wave wouldn't have been the worst. As I said before, sometimes it works to stack. You kind of have to memorize not the wave you're coming to, but also the wave afterwards. So for example, if I had done ice first to kill the previous wave and then use Gafoe, then it would have justified using Gafoe. However, this quest also has another mechanic to it, which makes it a bit annoying without TP draining items. And that is, you can't go back to town. So unless you plan a death, you can't really clear this quest as a force. Which is not the worst thing in the world, don't get me wrong. I find the challenge interesting, but there are ways to cheese it. So I'll be discussing probably the best rooms to die on if you're looking to play as a pure force, and you don't have a high-hit TP drain weapon. I want to give that alternative to the new players, I suppose. But for people that want to try it at home, they happen to have this game. You never know. Make no assumptions about your audience. Speaking of no assumptions, I should not have assumed Shifter was going to go off. Here's a scenario where using a Gafoe here will just keep an enemy off of us. Just a good old room reset scenario. They found Red Ring defeating Dark Balls. We'll hopefully get another Red Ring, but we'll see. I think that's more of a fantasy. The fantasy and Phantasy Star. It's very rare to get that item. Really? That Gafoe did not stop those Dwarfon. What a shame. And you know what the crazy thing is? Because I've been playing the Fomar, and I've been meleeing, I actually am Mag Blessed. So I'm gonna use healing just to keep my friend alive here. Unfortunately, I'm getting hit by laser. not too much I could do about this. I'm waiting for an opportunity where we're not getting struck, and I can finish them off. Let me debuff them. There we go. Make life a little easier. Actually, I think in this situation I should have been using Bringer's Rifle, to be honest with you. I think that was a misplay on my part. Yeah, that was much better. The Bringer's Rifle does % health damage. The problem with it is that if there's too many Dwarfons, it's really hard to get to the third hit, which is really required for the Fomar to land the final blow. So even with the Red Ring, and I think this is 50 hit. Yeah, even with 50 hit, it's still really hard to hit. The downside of being the Fomar. Technically, the Phonuman has slightly more accuracy, but honestly, it's pretty negligible. I'm making sure I use any fluid items I come across. Before we go to the next area, I'd like to use the Photon Blast. I just use a couple of fluids here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Using. There we go. I put more of a delay after after 3, 2, 1, just in case. I technically slowed it down because I said using, and then I waited another 2 seconds. Here's another wave. This one I'm not sure which one I would do first. Maybe Rabarda. Now, these Astarks in multiplayer have so much health, it might be worth using the Drain Health Sniper. But if they're focusing you, you're not going to get away with it as easily. But in terms of raw damage, I mean, we're doing awesome. I'm at 2,000 ATP, which is completely absurd. I should never hit that much as a force. I'm going to go ahead and spam some Gapoi to hopefully deter them from shooting lasers. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to a sniper. Aw. I missed it by just like a frame. What a shame. One thing you have to be careful of in multiplayer is you have to be aware, if you're not the person that gets the last hit, it's a little harder to use Gapoi to interrupt the upcoming wave. So, like, I knew a Dorfon was coming, so I should have just let Chris kill it. Prep for it. So I'll call that a misplay on my part, because I know these waves fairly well. As this is probably one of my favorite Episode 4 quests, to be honest with you. It just has so many enemies, really great density, really great chances of finding rare enemies. Allegedly, I'm sure Chris will not feel that this is true, and I also feel this is not true, based off of our luck. But allegedly, the Dorfon in the zoo has a 1 in 512 chance of becoming rare. I will let you know, there are at least 72, I think 78, as I mentioned before, zoos in this quest. I have not seen a Pazuzu in over 8 or 9 quest clears. So I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, like, if you say so, game. The one thing that is a little precarious about playing the green ID for the V101 for Ephinea server, or at least for the current version of the Rare Drops, is that if a zoo is out of bounds, as they tend to do, they like flipping through walls and all that nonsense. Oh, see, that time I prepped the Gapoi. I just was not rewarded for it, unfortunately. Uh-oh. Just go splat. Set damage is high. I'll heal him. Not his fault. Sometimes the game ignores invincibility frames in multiplayer. It's technically shorter than normal. Speaking of shorter than normal, I couldn't actually use the spell there to hit the Rappies. That is so annoying. I hate when that happens. That's a multiplayer only thing, by the way. I don't know why they kept it like that in Ephinea. I really wish that they gave normal invincibility frames in multiplayer. It actually causes quite a few issues in multiplayer, one of which was that, where I was literally just in perma stun lock for some reason. At least until I got knocked down. But the other thing is that it does cause enemy set damage if delivered on the same frame to occasionally hit you twice instead of it just hitting once. And that will usually result in an insta-kill. Now, on the plus side for Chris, because I am playing the melee force, I almost have Mag Blast again. Alright, stop that. I don't know who is shooting me with the fireball, but that is very annoying. Stop it. Okay, I'm gonna put another Gifoe to dissuade them. Take care of the Bubuda. Bring out the sniper rifle, save myself some TP. Now, the Fomar also has a pretty good grants bonus, which is a shame, because I can't really take advantage of that here. You can see that you can kind of stunlock zoos by yourself, so individual zoos are not a problem. It's worth just making sure you're aware of which ones are near you and potentially if they hit you, kind of like that. Also, I just realized I had invincibility, so I didn't have to respect any of this. Speaking of not respect any of this. So what I would recommend, if you really don't want to go back to town, anytime you see Escape Doll, treat that as a full TP restore, and keep in mind that you should probably commit suicide at some point in order to recover TP. Poor Chris. He's just TP recovering. That's what we also like to say. I'm gonna go ahead and debuff them, since I'm most likely to get hit again. I'm gonna hopefully rest it through that, and we'll be fine. The guy shooting the laser is so obnoxious. Stop! Okay, so I have Gellin, so that would stop them from knocking me down normally. But if I get slammed into or lasered, it ignores that, which is unfortunate that they're still targeting me with laser. I don't care if they target me with knockdown, because it's kind of slow. The laser is like really quick compared to their other animations. Oh my gosh. All I want to do is do the Trigger's Rifle special. This is not going well for me. Rest in peace to me. Please stop. Alright, I killed 1, 2. Can I please get my special up? There we go. It went off. I did like 5,000 damage, and that saved us a little bit of time. Ridiculous. Yeah, this quest is not very forgiving, if it wasn't clear. So, as of this point, as a force, I've only used 1 tri-fluid and a handful of other fluids. Not bad. I don't see anything else really dropping for me yet. Though I believe the next wave is just immediately Dwarfon, which is extremely rude. So to counteract that, I'm gonna go in first. And before we go in first, I might as well Mag Blast. So I'm just gonna heal Chris, and I'm just gonna stand near the teleporter. I'm gonna give the countdown with the delay, and then I'll use it. Hopefully Chris will hear it. So I'm gonna stop right about here. Wait for him to come over. I'm gonna do 3, 2, 1, 0. Using. Perfect. There we go. So I'm just gonna walk in first, immediately Gifoe. Oh, in multiplayer you can't do that fast enough. Interesting. Used it a second before 3. Wow. It's a pretty big delay. Unfortunate. But at least I warned him ahead of time. That also works. Alright, let's deal with these enemies, because they're just kind of in the way and annoying. There we go. Unfortunately, Chris does so much damage right now that he's able to stun them. That also works. Again, I'll be playing a semi-supportive role, but not true support, as I do a ton of damage. The Astartes really want to punch me, but I don't think they can hurt me. My defense is too high, actually. Yeah, they're doing 0 damage to me. That's so sad. They're really trying, though. You know what? I'll be attack detention for Chris. I'm okay with this. Oh, stopped it just a frame too late. It's a shame. As I said before, I don't super like to spam Gafoe, even though it will technically speed up the run. So I'm looking to also get present drops from these enemies. Hello, Solo Rappy. I like that I had a 124% chance to land the special, and I still missed it the first time. I think that was due more to the weapon special itself, but that's pretty bad luck. I just find that kind of funny. Oh, I've clipped him barely with the Gafoe. What a shame. Bad luck, chat. Speaking of bad luck, this wave is really terrible to do as force only. But if you're a melee force, you don't super care. As long as you don't get surrounded like that, you're fine. Asteron Belt really covers a wide range. Just as long as you don't get stun locked by the horrible Babudas, aka the lightning users. Those are the worst. Those I try to focus immediately. If I could kill them, I'm gonna be so much happier. Purple ones, I don't really care about. Regular fire ones, don't care about them either. Let's use a Gafoe to ward off laser spam. Probably still get hit once or twice, but it will stop it in general. Okay, I'm gonna use freeze to... Alright, I got all but one zoo. That is so unlucky. That is actually unlucky, because they have like semi-RNG to their movement. They're not entirely predictable, which is annoying. Anyway, time to freeze them all in place until Chris kills them. So I've had enough of their shenanigans. I know this is going to cost me a lot of TP to do, but honestly worth it. I'm so tired of them. It's fine. I'll take the Tri-Fluid loss. Fine. This is bad. I never want to be in a situation where I get knocked down and surrounded by satellite lizards. That is one of the most deadly things in multiplayer. I will try my best to avoid it. What I will do is pull them more to the side and then hopefully kill a few of them. That way Chris can escape their awful damage loops. Now on the plus side, the Dwarfline is doing so much raw damage to me that I am building a ton of blast gauge. Satellite Lizard, turn around just to stop me. What a troll. I was like, man, I had a clear shot at the Dwarfline, and it was like, nope. No, you did not. I'm gonna put a safety Gafoe down. Oh, the zoo spawned over there. I remember the zoo was there. I just didn't remember where. My bad. I guess I'm usually used to being on that side of the room. Which, to be fair, normally you stay near the starting spot if you're playing solo force. It's very rare you go towards the enemy like I am now. So all this has happened. I still have 9 Tri-Fluids. I'm in really great shape for clearing the next area. Yeah, I want to put a Gafoe down for the Rappies, just in case something knocks me over. And we'll take a free Gafoe on the next spawning wave. That's not too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and debuff, I said. Landing debuff. Wait, is there an Astark still not debuffed? How is that possible? Did I hit the target limit somehow? What is happening? Oh, he's like really despawned over there. Okay. He's just out of sync. Got it. Okay, I actually have Mag Blast, but I'll wait a little bit before we use it, just in case we get killed by Bloodfarm. So I've debuffed them, so they can no longer have any chance of hurting us. We have another minute or so of super buffs, we might as well stall it. Now, in this situation where you're hit repeatedly backwards, sometimes it is better just to switch to gun, even as force. That was our last chance to get rare Dwarfon, which is unfortunate. It would be really nice one day to see the actual rare enemies spawn. Cool, I'm taking a lot of damage there. So here's another thing to do when in doubt. If there happens to be more than 4 Dwarfon at any point, most of the time it's better just to switch to Gafoe. just because it's more efficient at just dealing damage to all of them. Since it's kind of hard to do burst damage. So I'm gonna spam Gafoi here to speed this up a little. And then when it's down to just 2, I'll focus tactics. Yeah, you can see like I've wounded one pretty seriously, and Chris just absolutely murdered that other one. Yeah, there we go. See, I used the devil special successfully there. I'm just gonna restock on Monomaids and Dimaids, which because they're frame 1, they help you get out of damage loops. I'm gonna go ahead and collect some of these items. Honestly though, only using 2 Tri-Fluids at this point, really good for us. Use another Mono Fluid there. Not a lot has dropped fluid-wise for me, which is a bit unfortunate. I don't think there's been a single Tri-Fluid drop, for example. That would have saved us a lot of TP. But what we're gonna do is we know the next wave is Chris's favorite wave. So I'm gonna prep to use Gafoi, but before we do that, we're gonna move a little closer. Yeah, see, Chris knows. See, there's some waves you never forget. So we're gonna go ahead and use the Mag Blast here. So I'll give Chris a little time to sync up, and then I'm gonna start my countdown. So I'm gonna start counting down at 3, 2, 1, 0, using. There we go. More delay. So this wave, highly recommended if you're playing single player, if you have a magical piece, to go ahead and use it. And even with the delay, I even waited longer, it felt. Dang, delay is real. You can see the power of Gafoi stacking. Before they're able to even reach me, they're taking tons and tons and tons of damage. Now, at this level with Magical Piece, they would absolutely be dead before they reach you, but such is the life of Phantasy Star multiplayer. If you have 2 forces, though, that more than makes up for the health increase, and you can kill them every single time before they reach you. But hey, people should be allowed to play what they want, so you don't have to go for the dual optimal faux Newman only nonsense. So just saying, there's alternate tactics. Speaking of alternate tactics, look at that Gerdabulu's health total. Did I not mess him up, chat? Goodbye, Gerdabulu. I hope you enjoyed that deletion. Man, that Bringer's arm wrecked him. I got shock status. Shock status again. Ooh, unlucky. I'm gonna heal. I'm actually gonna put out a Gafoi here, because I have a feeling I might not be able to hit the Rappy. Okay, Chris finished it very cleanly with Slicer of Fanatic, another excellent weapon that is actually dropped in the same area on certain section IDs. It's been a while since I went for it. I almost want to say it's pink ID, but I don't want to be incorrect. Pink ID, however, is extraordinarily great. I know, for example, it could give Guardiana as well as Limiter, 2 of which are really strong choices for Komar. What I would recommend if you're playing against these enemies, and I highly recommend you do it, there's a unit called Cure Freeze, which prevents them from freezing you. I absolutely think you should take this. There are some rooms of them where they're not too bad, and, you know, it's just kind of like baby strats, but honestly, the way some of these enemies spawn in this particular run, not likely to happen. Like there, unless you were prepping 7+ Gafois, you probably would have died there. If you were anywhere near, like, let's say level 140 instead of 180, or even 120, and you only had 900 health, you absolutely would have been one-shot in multiplayer. Even if you have really good wiggle out strats, like you could get out in like 1/4 of a second using the controller mapping on top of like the keyboard mapping, for example, to get the double shake input to get out quicker, it's still not fast enough. So don't bother, just use Cure Freeze in this room. Not worth it. It's a very dumb death, and it is a big time loss. But hey, I guess if you want to go back, you technically could go back there. But there's a much better wave I feel you should use. I am kind of upset that that zoo hit me. I had 3 Gaboes out, and he dodged all of them somehow. I don't understand that. And that is actually going to waste a lot of time, because that stopped me from Gaboe stacking. It stopped me from Gaboe stacking again. You gotta be kidding me. I'm shaking my head right now, chat. This dude is one of the most obnoxious I have ever seen. I cannot believe he ignored the triple Gaboe room. Not a single one hit him. That was actually crazy. Anyway, time to build up some meter. As I said before, we're looking to conserve TP. I could spam Magical Piece here. Technically, it might be good to set up a few once the wave is over. I'll probably do that in a moment. Oh. I keep forgetting how quick Chris kills. So these enemies don't have a weakness to fire, but if they walk into it, they still take damage. So it is just free damage. And again, I'll probably set it up on the next wave as well, just to chip them. No matter what it is. I feel like more often than not, the strategy of how they spawn the enemies is, if it's annoying to kill it with only fire, most likely the next wave will be weak to fire. As I said, most likely. You know what? I could use Gazan technically to stun lock them, but I'd rather they hit me for Photon Blast. I think that's a better play. I'd rather them give me Photon Blast. Whatever. Give me Photon Blast, see what happens. There you go. Yeah, I'm at 80. Yeah, you showed me. I'm really scared of your 70 damage. Speaking of waves that are annoying to kill, that would have been another wave if I had been stacking. Would have been godlike. That's okay. They're way too annoying in multiplayer to kill with the Gaboe, unless I just let Chris kill. Which, to be fair, that is the strength of the Hunter. They care not for elemental weaknesses. Speaking of care not, let's stun lock a couple of these to make Chris's life a little easier. I have another Scape Doll. I could probably suicide at one point. What I would highly recommend, if you're about to commit character suicide in order to save on TP, is you just unequip your mag and you embrace death. So for example, they're pulling me in right now. I might as well embrace death. Why not? Why not? Get my TP back. There we go. And if you do that, chat, you don't lose any mag synchro, and it's so unfair. The downside is you lose your Photon Blast. That's okay. You don't need it for this upcoming room. I'd rather have my TP, to be honest with you. Alright, let me just 360 lightning to kill one. Oh, they're all dead. Hello, Try. Hope you're doing well. I cannot believe this. I'm looking all over the place. I have such bad MP recovery luck. We have not found a single Tri-Fluid. That to me is crazy. That is such bad luck. It's not even like a rare drop. Like out of like 100 drops, at least one of them should have been a Tri-Fluid. But did you drop a quadruple Difluid? Oh. I'll leave one for now. You can't actually pick up 4. Yeah, here's why the super buffs don't really matter. One, this room. This room I think is bugged. I hope they fix this in a future patch. So normally zoos are not meant to be moving around before you enter the room, but for some reason in this room they do. And that causes it to wildly desync for multiplayer. Hey Kirk, hope you're also doing well. We figured we'd go through a quest while people were slowly trickling in. Don't worry, we'll be doing some Eternia. We're probably about a half hour away, if I had to guess. Well, I guess if we're doing 2 runs, probably closer to 45 minutes. Yeah, for this wave, I just like the crowd control. So for me, getting the super buff doesn't matter as much. Oh, my bad. Forgot to rebuff this. Silly me, I'm chatting the chat, not looking at the stat buffs. Might be. We'll take the power material. Goodbye, enemy. Actually, you know what? I've been conserving TP so well by using Astron Belt. I think I actually don't need to go back. I think I actually can make it to the end of the quest with no TP recovery item. I mean, technically we cheesed it a little with Scape Doll, but to be honest with you, we should have gotten a Tri-Fluid, guaranteed, at this point. We've had like 300 item drops. The fact that it hasn't dropped is more impressive to me. Let's clear up some enemies to make life a little easier for Chris. Let's also debuff them. No, we're building that beautiful, beautiful Photon Blast by hitting multiples there. There we go. See, Cure Freeze is also useful for Gerda-Bulu when surrounded by Satellite Lizard, as otherwise you have a chance of just being insta-killed by them. And that is a no fun moment. Oh, look at that. Bringer's Arm special. Did you see that thing's health drop by like 10,000? That's the power of this gun. So you can see under the recommended it says hard special. I'm going for the special there if you're curious. And that drains their health by 75%, or it takes away 75%. Or more accurately, it quarters them. And it is quite impressive, I must say. I was hoping to get a couple freezes on the Marissas, but it didn't happen. That's fine. We'll use Gapoe to kill them, since Chris did a good job at hitting them. That'll be his reward. He doesn't have to worry about them anymore. Goodbye. See that, chat? Like, even though I just blew my Photon Blast, technically, by swapping out, like, I almost have it back already. I'll probably have it back for the final area. Which is fine. Character seems interesting using rifles. So, one thing I want to talk about with that is that technically this character can't use rifles except for rare rifles. And the fact that they did that kind of unbalances the game. So for example, Bringer's Arm is a weapon that can only be used by Rangers and Forces. I don't know why Forces are allowed to use it, to be honest with you. I feel like it probably should have been a Ranger-only weapon. But hey, we'll use it. It's technically an enemy part weapon, which makes it really easy to add attributes to. Normally when you pick up a weapon, it's more or less done. There are some endgame things you could do to it in order to buff its stats further. So right now, like for example, when you make an enemy part weapon, it is 0% in all attributes. But I could easily put 100% in native or 100% in dark. So if I really just want to make this thing absolutely wreck everybody, I could burn my late game materials on it. I'm not going to say I can't, I just choose not to. I just honestly don't care that much. But yeah, the Fomar is intended to be more of the melee force, which is kind of funny because I don't feel like the males get any interesting equipment. More often than not, the females have the better attack animations and they have the better equipment. The trade-off is that their stats are usually kind of horrendous. So it's really rough to play them without getting the right gear. I feel the males are the characters you generally play from a force standpoint, where if you don't have the right gear, it's easier just to win with them. If you have like the same amount of items, you'll probably do better with a male character. If you find the female specific gear, then they will be like leaps and bounds better than the males. So for example, there's a gun that can only be used by females called the Rambling May, which is also a sniper rifle. And it completely outclasses the sniper that I'm using. So for example, instead of only hitting once per shot, it double hits. Instead of having a restriction on the height that I can aim at, it can infinitely aim up or down, which means I can hit things that are technically off screen, which is extremely overpowered. The only thing that's technically worse is the special, which is the one that reduces health. But in like every other scenario, if I'm just using it for raw damage, it's just better. Not to mention that the female shoots, I think, almost twice as fast as the male counterpart with Rambling May, which is completely absurd. We'll probably show that off at some point. Rambling May is one of my favorite weapons in the game, only to really be topped by Last Swan, which is another female-only item. So yeah, unfortunately, they are really wanting to make sure that I get my Mag Blast up. So I'm glad I'm a force, because I could just heal myself repeatedly here. Yeah, stop that. I'm gonna throw out some Gafoes to dissuade the laser spam. Basically, anytime a zoo is hit, aka the giant bird, they will stop their attack cycle and they'll reassess what they should be doing. So they could choose to dive bomb, they could choose to reposition, they could choose to clip out of bounds like they are now, which is extremely obnoxious. I don't even know where they are on Chris's screen. I'm glad Chris was able to find them. So Chris, they gave me Mag Blast. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I'm gonna Mag Blast. Yeah, let's go to hallway. Oh, he's in the hallway. Oh, that's fine. I'll stay here then. I'm gonna use it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using. There we go. So what's kind of nice about the duo Mag Blast, one, you can't share the same Mag Blast type, so if he also chose the twins, which is the one I just used, aka my Leula, it unfortunately doesn't stack. Delay's getting worse. Oh no. He used Dolphin, which I think is a Stella, and that does damage to everything that it comes in contact with. And because he's a hunter, and damage is based off of ATP, he does an absolute boatload of damage, and he can just kind of one-shot certain waves. My Cry Fluid use is kind of high. Oh no! Oh no, I was getting whammied in the corner. Stop that. Okay. Wow, that was bad. They were gelling and they still got me down to 100 health. That is really bad. Please stop. Okay, so here's a little trick. I just want to show this off. If you time things correctly, you can actually stop the Gertabulu from ever attacking. So if you look for him to do his wildly flailing arm technique, he can't escape this loop against Grants, by the way. This is an infinite. He'll only get out if another player pity hits him. That's it. So forces are really, really strong in this game. If you're wondering why his claws glow different colors other than the elemental strikes, if you match the element that he uses against you, you actually do bonus damage. Or you could just choose to ignore that and use Grants, which is light-based damage. So you could choose to play his minigame. I usually choose not to. I just choose to nuke him, chat, to be honest with you. Wow. Sad life for these enemies, chat. Okay, this is the room, if you're gonna commit suicide, I absolutely recommend. A single Gertabulu, it's late into the room's run. It allows you to restock. So if you're not doing the strategy I'm doing to conserve TP, you don't have a TP weapon, aka a weapon that gives TP back on hit, highly recommended you just reset there. You will not have enough TP to finish the run. Now, one thing to know is you don't want to end this final wave, not this specific wave, but in this room, the final wave, by using your MP recovery / TP recovery, because there's a healing circle right after this. So if you remember that's there, you can basically get a free Tri-Fluid if you time it well. So my goal is to not use a full TP recovery. Any TP I use here is okay, as long as I am not forced to use like an Omega recovery. So we'll play a little greedy, I think. I'm gonna actually cast this not quite as fast as I can cast it, because I'm actually conserving TP. The greed is super real. You shouldn't do this, but I'm being very greedy. Like, see how there's like a noticeable pause where my animation resets? I'm purposely putting in a delay, because I know that they usually will not get out of it. And even if they do, it doesn't matter, because I've stalled long enough for the Spinaway Lizards to die. AKA the Yowies. Oh no, they hit me. What a shame. Anyway, time to Bringer's Rifle him. It's unlock loop, great timing between attacks. I know. Sometimes you just feel it, chat. You're just like, listen, I'm just gonna manually delay it. There's no indicator. I'm not looking for a visual cue. I just feel it in my heart, chat. I'm just like, I know this was stun lock. Like, some enemies, like the Gerda Bulu, have a very, very noticeable visual cue. And if you attack during his flailing arms, then you can infinite him. But other enemies, I'm like, nah. Like, how long does it take for a zoo to start flapping and escaping? You just gotta feel it. I'm gonna go more towards the center here. Unfortunately, they're gonna force me to spam Gafoe here. How unfortunate. We're getting a little low-ish on TP. I'm hoping the game graces me with a fluid, or I'll feel kind of sad. Because we've gone, I think, 2 rooms at this point without receiving any. I'm gonna take a safety die fluid, and hopefully we can kill this room without using too many more. Also, I love that you can stunlock the zoos with just normal attacks. That's one of the few times where using your strongest attack does not make any sense. It's just better to just normal. Case in point. See how he's not able to move, chat? Absolutely disgusting. Stunlock is real. Now, unfortunately on my screen, he is clipped into the wall. So because of that, my character wasn't able to target him, which is very unfortunate. I'm gonna have to interrupt his nonsense with a Gafoe. Okay, I had a Gafoe from the previous wave. Yeah, if he wasn't being so nonsense, I probably would have stacked more Gafoe. I didn't want to waste my TP if he was just not even going to enter the room. I wasn't sure, honestly, what he was going to do. Zoos are the worst in multiplayer. They tend to desync and do crazy things. Like, you saw him just clip into the wall. Even on my screen, he was clipping into the wall. He's like, I'm out of here. Like, thanks, game. If they ever fix that, I would be so happy, but I really doubt they will. Cool. I'm forced to use more dive fluids here. Unfortunate. I'm gonna go ahead and flood the room with Gafoe. They're focusing crits, and that allows me to just get away with it. Gafoe will deal a lot of damage to the satellite lizards. However, Goron Detonator is still gonna be a problem. I left Chris to his death, apparently. He auto-revived. I was close to killing them, in my defense. Goron Detonator slapped me before the final Gafoe. I'm not super close to Mag Blast, so I'm gonna buff you. You know what's kind of sad? I actually think the Gerda Bulu is going to be easier to kill than the dumb zoos. I feel like the zoos are just not going to let me do anything. I'm going to set up one Gafoe to dissuade them from dive bombing me. I'm going to hopefully time a special attack here. Oh, Chris already killed the other zoo. That's excellent. Alright, I'm just going to let Chris kill this enemy. I'm going to dodge their elemental strikes, which you can do by strafing. Oh, what a terrible wave. The one thing I would recommend to do is if you find yourself in the corner of a Marissa, run really far, run really fast. It's actually kind of funny. I want the Rappies to strike me here in this situation, because unlike the satellite lizards, they don't have a guaranteed knockdown, and because of that, that will actually let me cast faster. So weirdly, it's like, there's sometimes you don't want to be knocked down, and sometimes you do. Like, if you don't get knocked down, a lot of hits will continue to strike you, and that's very dangerous. But in that scenario, if they had hit me, I would have been casting very, very quickly. I'm going to try not to use more TP ups. I think this might be the final wave. It is. Okay. I had a feeling in my heart, chat. I'll take the Trimate. I'm low on die mates. Oh, a die fluid, nice. Okay, we should have enough TP to reach the end. Oh, we're finally getting a couple more die mates. I got them earlier in the run, but that was before I was really using them, unfortunately. I think I maybe gave up one die mate that I maybe could have picked up, but it's not worth, like, searching for an eternity here. So, because I know there's a healing circle here, look at our beautiful TP regeneration. Look at all that fluid item I don't have to use. It's so good. I'll wait for Chris to come over here, and then I'll switch over to, I think, Magical Piece for the first wave. I think that's the pro play. Just dropping your shields. Or your armors, I mean. Yeah, I think it's Gorons, and then I think it's Pyro Gorons. Pretty standard start, just debuff into fire. It's kind of sad that in multiplayer, these enemies can't hurt me. It just shows like how dumb it is when you have a force. You become literally invincible. Hey, speaking of which, you know what? I don't care that the Rappies ran away. I'd rather watch the Marissas explode. I'm sure Chris would agree with me. This is just one of those rooms. I don't feel bad. So anyway, that's the power of stacking Gafoe. I killed almost all of them before they spawned and hit me. What a dumb spell, chat. The fact that it lingers between waves is so powerful. It saves you so much time. But speaking of doesn't save you much time, I really hope those zoos die. I'll leave a couple of Gafoes out for free damage, but... yeah, here we go. I thought they fixed that bug where they're not allowed to strike right away. Apparently not for multiplayer. So there's a bug for Ephinea where enemies normally have an animation before they do anything. But that time the Grand Detonator spawned and immediately turned around to strike me. They're supposed to wave their arms in the air if you're curious. You'll usually, if you look at it, you'll notice that they should always do that. If they don't, something has gone wrong. And that messes up the cycle, because that gives you one less spell prep to kill them. I'm gonna put some Gafoe out. I forget what this upcoming wave is, actually. Oh. Well, I said when in doubt, if it feels really inconvenient, end it with Gafoe. So, good instinct. Ooh, Chris does not have Cure Freeze. I feel very bad for him, as this enemy is very brutal without it. Just gonna go ahead and zappy zap them. I am surprised they let me get away with just using the sniper there. I thought for sure they would interrupt. There we go. Okay, good instinct to leave a Gafoe out. Let's debuff them. Rappies have so much ATP that they're one of the few enemies that can actually deal damage on swing. I think the only other example is Goron Detonator. Otherwise, if we take damage, it's set damage, which ignores defense, or it's elemental damage, which technically ignores defense, but you have resistances towards it. Oh, another great wave to set up for Gafoe spam. Rewarded for the Gafoe. Now, I believe the final enemy of this room will be Gertabulu, so I'm going to be very, very careful not to mash the confirm button, which is what some of my spells are set to. Because if I do that, I might accidentally teleport out of this room before I can collect items. I have done that before, and it is profound sadness. And no, you can't go backwards. Ooh, I didn't have a good Gafoe wave set up. I had one, but it could have been much better. I'm going to go ahead and debuff them, so they're less likely to explode Chris, for example. And we're just going to go ahead and soften the wave up. Yeah, see, they knocked me down. They have a force knockdown on strike, even though that did, like, no damage. Unfortunately, I think that zoo was slightly out of range of the debuff. So once that Gertabulu is defeated, I think we'll go ahead and Milo Eula. The reason we do the Milo Eula, I don't think I described on stream, is that it will give us a level 21 shifted deband, which doesn't sound very good. But if you do it in co-op and two different people use two different mag blasts, it adds another 20 levels per player. So we get a 41 shifted deband. So right now we're taking advantage of level 30, which is insane. I think it adds like about roughly 30%. I'm not going to be very specific with it, but it's very safe to say we're getting at least 10% more damage. And that's why I didn't press the button. That right there, evil. I don't like that teleporter. I did not want to accidentally get sucked into it. So I'm going to collect items, and then I'll give Chris a countdown. Well, I'm getting most of my dimates back. That's good, actually. Okay. Unfortunately, nothing of interest dropped so far for me. Anyway, I'm gonna hold still, and we're gonna give a countdown for Chris. He gave me Knights, my least favorite song, thank you. So, we're going to use the Mag Blasts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, using. There we go. I even delayed it more. There we go. So let's take advantage of the super buffs. And again, the fact that we get even more defense, this might render me immune to Rappies. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention. Our defense is pretty astronomical. Like, for example, our base defense is 460, but due to armor and D-band buffs, it's at 1381. It's just slightly higher than the default defense of the character. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to make a lot of sense. Just go with the flow, chat. We're like, yeah, that makes sense. Did he just melee me for 15 damage? Oh, that's so sad. Let me get this straight. If I had like another 20 or 30 defense, I would just be immune to him? I guess? I think so, chat. So if I gain 10 more levels, I don't think these enemies can hurt me anymore in multiplayer. That's kind of sad, really. That's what their life has been reduced to. I'm gonna let those Marissas slowly come to me. I'm not gonna approach them at all. They should just walk into the fireball. Chris can even walk towards me if he wants to just avoid them. He really does not need to fight them. Yeah, they should die very soon. Oh, I didn't debuff the Rappy, so he hits like a truck. Super Rappy. Okay, so undebuffed Rappy still does damage to me. But once they're debuffed, they just can't do any damage. The debuffing, very important. I guess that's a good showcase of why we do it. Even with our absurd defense, sometimes it doesn't matter. Yeah, the Rappy, I swear, it does not skip a single day at gym, chat. You do not underestimate how much damage that little cute creature, quote-unquote, will do. It is an absolute monster. Do not trust it. It is gonna murder you. The thing I fear for when I'm leveling a character is not the Zoo, not a Dorphon, it's a Rappy crit. I've sometimes been crit by that Rappy by like over 1,000 damage. I'm just like flabbergasted. Whenever it happens, I'm just like, how is it even possible for it to do that much damage? What a monster. Okay, I'm gonna lure it closer to me. Also, look at that weapon. Did you like that weapon stun lock, chat, with the normal attacks? Did you like that? It teleported close only to get stun locked. Brutal. Excuse me, chat. So I would say normally in single player, this would be about the time I would get a clear with this character. Little under sub hour. So at this rate, I think it's probably safe to say it's going to take another 15 minutes or so. I'm a little worried about my TP total, but it should be fine. I just need one tri-fluid for the final room. I should be okay. I think I'm on pace for that. But again, we're getting very bad fluid drops. If not for Chris giving me dive fluids earlier, I think we would have been out. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the mono fluids and dive fluids heal a set amount of TP. It's not percentage based. Some people think it is, but it's actually just a misconception. It will scale with difficulty, but it's flat. The only thing that does scale is the tri-fluid. That will always recover full TP. So I want to hold off on those as long as possible. Also, we're gaining so much more experience that I'm actually probably going to level the next time I do this quest. Which will probably be after stream. I figured I'd tease this now while Chris is here, but I do have something planned to give to Chris in PSO. I have one of the items I want to give. I'll see if I can find the other one. I'll be doing some hunts off stream for it. It'll be a little surprise for all of his hard work.
Perfect mayhem!
Hello, ASD Hey. Thank you for rating the channel, and thank you for also hosting. Hopefully Castlevania has gone well. Thank you indeed. We're just wrapping up a run. It is a raid. Just wrapping up a run, and we'll do one last boss rush, I think. Then we'll switch over to Eternia.
You're wide open!
Thank you for following Dinner Dog. I do appreciate it. Just another hundo seed? Oh no. Sounds unfortunate. Oh, speaking of unfortunate, I almost died looking at chat. Hold on, I gotta pay attention briefly. Quick menu. Okay, we're good. Chris died, but it's fine. We'll revive him. We're on top of it. It's okay. We call that the challenge mode of trying to read chat while trying to menu. An actually serious wave appeared. Yeah, thank you so much for rating. Trying my best to step it up in terms of PSO gameplay. But I have a feeling we'll have a pretty impressive boss to clear. We're playing with more or less endgame characters. We're playing one of the more challenging runs. And we're choosing not to go back, actually. Oh my gosh, I actually see dye fluids? Did it finally happen? Have we been blessed, chat? I'll let Chris deal with that for a second. Oh, it's an antidote. Where's the other dye fluid? Okay, I'm gonna put out a safety for Bowie. Also go Chris. Yeah, I had a feeling it was Marissa's. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, I actually blocked a Marissa? What? Oh, thank you, 3. Oh wait, I don't even have 3 seals. How did I block that? Is my evade that good? Okay. The 3 seal has a chance of randomly blocking, ignoring evade. But I don't have that. Oh, Chris is dead. Gotta go revive Chris, chat. Let's go ahead and use our monomates. Yeah, unfortunately, Chris does not have a Cure Freeze unit. We need to make sure he gets one of those. That I will also try to get as a Christmas gift. He needs one per character. So, weirdly enough, to get some of the more useful units in the game, more often than not, you need to gamble. You don't actually have to do the runs for it. Hey, Bertward, hope you're doing well. So I'll probably be doing some gambling between streams. In-game gambling. Oh, another scape doll. Okay. Might help me. Oh, goodbye. I have 2 tri-fluids left. I gotta stretch this out for 1 more room. This will be interesting. Speaking of interesting, Vertibulu was pulling me backwards there, so I couldn't target him. What a pro. Alright, so I'm gonna take some oh, a tri-fluid actually dropped. What a miracle. Okay, we're good. I've been waiting for this the entire run. Chad, it only... Oh, and then I got 3 from Chris. Well, that wasn't needed, but that's fine. We'll take it. Yeah, that's kind of crazy how bad our luck is with tri-fluids. It's not even a rare item, it just didn't drop. Wait, was this the tri-fluid? It is the tri-fluid. I'll pick it up. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and conclude the run, I think. Unfortunately, I don't have Mag Blast here. I'm just gonna rebuff us. But thanks to Chris giving me spare tri-fluids, we're fine. It doesn't really matter which one I do first. It's Marissa Wave. I'm sure Chris wouldn't mind if I just lured them away from the start. Or, oh, Chris went too fast. Poor Chris. Rest in peace, Chris. So we're going to be using a little cheese strategy, chat. I don't know if this is intended, so it'll just be our little chat secret. Just don't tell the game designers, chat. Don't tell them that there's something very exploitable about this map. Just go shh. Just look the other way, chat. It's just like, you know, there's a nice little laser gate over here, chat. I think I'm gonna just stay over here. I'm sure this will not come up in the future. I'm sure everything will be fine. There'll be no exploits. Looks like some of the enemies are refusing to acknowledge me. I guess I'll pull a little bit more. That's always fine. Now, if you're curious, most enemies cannot go through the laser gate. I'm just gonna go ahead and debuff them to speed things up. I could technically stay behind the laser gate. Fine, we'll come back over here. I want them to come towards me. Chris is having an epic duel against nothing. I always love that when the game desyncs. Anyway, I pulled him over, so that way Chris is mortified. Oh, speaking of which, I almost have Mag Blast. I do have Mag Blast, I lied. That might be useful in a little bit. I'm just gonna sit here, I'm just gonna spam some good Bowie, you know, typical Force things. Some enemies might reset, and oh look, chat, there's some enemies that just refuse to acknowledge that I'm here. Sure would be a shame if I were to just start them full screen. Uh-oh, Chad, he's in the loop. Oh, I mistimed it. The choke. It is tempting to go out there and hit the wrap piece so that they don't run away. But you know what's also tempting? To just speed this room up a little bit. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and zappy zap some of them away. Really don't want them to hear. We're just gonna go ahead and speed that wave up just a little bit. Just a little bit, it's fine. Anyway, back to hiding over here. Oh, Zeus spawned on me. Rest in peace, me. Let's go ahead and debuff these enemies. Oh, the zoo is here. What a shame. But we're almost at the wave that I'm looking forward to. We're very close to it. I think we have to get through maybe 2 more waves. And then you'll understand why I'm over here. Alright, that guy's done. So what's actually kind of nice is that Chain Lightning is pretty fast, and you can use it to defeat the Goron Detonators. Unfortunately, because I have Mag Blast, I'm not actually able to Chain Lightning. So I think I'm going to ask for Chris's help to use Mag Blast. I'm going to go ahead and use some Dive Fluids. Hi, Chris. I'm using it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using. There we go. So I need my Chain Lightning back for the next wave. Or else they're going to be very sad. Plus Maristas are coming. They could get hit by this and take a lot of damage, depending on how he aimed it. It's a decent amount of damage. Oh, come on. Marissa barely reached me and knocked me down. What a shame. I like how one Marissa is just chilling out. It just chooses to just enjoy life in the corner, Tat. That is so obnoxious when the Gurda-Hulu can hit you from there. Okay, I'm just gonna regular attack it until it dies. It'll die very soon. There we go. So that poor Marissa's all by itself. I mean, I'm kind of curious. Okay, so if you have a normal sniper, you don't outrange it. However, you can also stun lock them to some extent with normals, if you time it well. Or you just kill them before they reach you. Either or. Oh, there's actually one more wave after this. I know we're not at the final wave, because the wave that is before the wave I'm looking to exploit is a, I think, quintuple Goron Detonator. So if we see that, we're almost at the point that I'm looking forward to. I forgot, sometimes there's filler waves. Silly filler waves. Speaking of filler waves. Oh, this is why I don't remember this wave. Yeah, they just spawned into the Gafoe. Well, I mean, they almost reached me. You know, they touched the laser gate. You can consider that a win, I guess. I'll just use grants. That is just so unlucky, whatever that happens, chat. Whenever the laser comes out and doesn't get interrupted, or that happens. Speaking of which, I need to unequip for fast casts. Hello, Granite Knight. Hope you're doing well. Happy birthday, by the way. One of them didn't get stun locked. That's a shame. So there's a stun lock you could do with Gazan, which is the Chain Lightning spell. And basically, as fast as you can cast it, it will interrupt their attacks forever, and there's nothing they could do about it. Unfortunately, one of them teleported out, but I can still very, very greatly delay their Chain Lightning strikes. And you can see that guy is just completely confused. I don't know what he's doing. He's just spinning in circles going, whee! Alright, I think that, I'm sorry, there's one more wave. I always forget about the filler waves. They're just so quick, chat. They don't require any strategy. It's like if you're spamming Gafoe, you've already won. Also, who spawned behind me and struck me into that? Was that the zoo? Alright, this is getting a little messy. Normally the zoo is not literally against me. This is kind of messing me up a bit. I'm rolling my eyes. And stop. Stop it with— I'm actually getting stun locked in multiplayer. Iframes, where are you at? Please get me out of the stun lock. I mean, fortunately it wasn't doing any damage, but that was pretty obnoxious. I think I was in a block loop for like 5 or 6 hits there. It couldn't do anything. Not even item. Like, that's how frame perfect that stun lock was. So anyway, what I like to do is if an enemy's out of range, what is more ranged than a sniper rifle is your light spell. So if you'd like to not move from your location, you can just grant them to death. Here's my favorite wave. So chat, this is normally one of the worst waves in the game. It is 4 Girdabulu spawning around the spawn point. So if you die at any point, you are just immediately surrounded by 4 Girdabulu. But chat, if you're a certain distance, they will only try to do their pull attack, but there's a laser gate in the way. Who would have seen this coming? They can't do anything. Oh, chat, they just can't quite reach me. Look at them flail their little arms. They're trying so hard, chat. This is definitely not an AI exploit. I don't know what you're talking about, chat. This is definitely not abusing the game. I definitely have not played this quest a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. This is very fair. Look, chat, he's trying really hard. Look, listen. Oh, you can't reach the back too? Oh, because you don't have a sniper. Where's your Holy Ray? Oh, he is flailing. Look at him doing his little flails. Alright, if he doesn't want to cooperate, that's fine. I was gonna say, yeah, you have Holy Ray. Get out of here. Holy Ray does some decent damage. Anyway, this is why I said I wanted to try Fluid. I wanted to make sure I had enough to kill this Girdabulu. He's probably the hardest to hit normally with sniper shots. There we go, quest cleared. So, hour 8 minutes. Could be better, definitely. But I think I'll take it. For not having 2 forces, I think that was really good. So we'll be concluding PSO in one more run. We're not doing another run of this, don't worry. We're going to be doing a much shorter run involving beating the final bosses. So I'm just gonna go ahead and restock here and take my reward. So did not need to back at any point, so technically doable. What I think is really gross is I think this quest used to have like a very tight time limit. I want to say it was only 30 minutes. I don't know how anybody beat this in not a 4-player party. It seems kind of obnoxious. I mean, you saw like some of the rooms were cleared very quickly, but apparently that's just not enough. Let's go ahead and get rid of these items. What I'll probably do, chat, is at some point I'll probably do another material giveaway. We'll give away to either new players, or if anybody in the stream wants some of these items, I'll just give them away. Hey, you got a Mega 27? Are you serious? Chat, I can't even begin to describe to you how unfair that is that he got a Megid, but thank you for giving me the Megid. I've been playing for, like, literally over 100 hours, and I have not received a Megid of that level. Megid level is the only important thing. I think I got, like, a Megid 14 or something the other day, and it was so bad. It's completely unusable. Anyway, now I definitely have to give you some interesting gifts. I have to think about it. I might have to step up what I was planning to give you. Yeah, we'll do some PSO gift trading at some point. Let's do a sword. Yeah, that Mega 27 is kind of make or break for certain runs, because if you use it with something called God Technique, you can cause it to gain 3 levels, and level 30 is the cap. So you have the strongest death attack in the game, which is what Mega does. And it completely trivializes certain missions. So he just gave me like a free win, as far as I'm concerned. I think I've only received literally 1 high-level Megid before. It might have been a Megid 28. And again, I have like 8 forces, so I need that at least 7 more times. Or according to Chris, I suppose, 6 more times. I think this is fine. I don't technically have to get rid of anything. Oh, I have a telepipe? Ew, get out of my inventory. Ow, item. You and Trap Vision deserve to be banished. I wish not for your item. So yeah, we're just gonna conclude this with the boss rush, and then we'll just go into Eternia. I'm gonna skip the dialogue. It's just some really lame. The cake is a lie. Fine. Old game, chat. Got my money total. That paid for the tri-fluids. Let's call this game... Chris Red Ring? Question mark. Let's see if we could get another red ring, one of the rarest shields in the game. Why not? So I don't think I'll level up on this quest, but I'll be pretty close. I'm gonna take this opportunity to deposit the coal. It is very hopeful. It'd be more realistic for me to say V101. So technically, this has still all been a V101 run, as I put in the stream title. The reason why Green ID is also good for the previous quests, which I didn't go into as many details about, is that the Gorons also can drop something called Heaven Punisher? Let me double check. There's two names for these weapons, and I find them very confusing. 1 second. Don't want to misquote here. Heaven Striker. I'm sorry. They're both guns, which makes it ultra confusing, and both are very rare. But the Heaven Striker drops for the Green ID there, and that is the best handgun for, I believe, the Ramar. It just does so much damage. Anyway, game is up for Chris. Chris is now joined. He is joining in with his best character. He is now Rock Spot. So we're just gonna do a quick ult towards the future. Now, I like Green ID for going start to finish here, as well as Viridian ID, because we'll get some chances at getting a frozen shooter from the giant apes that spawn right at the beginning. The worm will potentially drop Holy Ray, which is an excellent, excellent item for Fomars, as well as Humars. I'm playing the male human force, which is a Fomar, just for clarity. So I could potentially receive a ton of really useful items here. I forgot to buff. My bad. Okay. We're gonna go for near minimum kills. I care not for these enemies. So trust me, chat, this will not take an hour. Hopefully it won't even take 30 minutes, but we'll see. So Chris is providing a lot of crowd control with a gun called the Spread Needle, which honestly is probably my favorite gun in the game, if we're just talking about Ranger-specific guns. It is just so fast. It's got its shortest range. Oh, I got a present. Nice. Huh. Well, it immediately rewarded us for doing another run. Yeah, like, see, he just completely paralyzed them as the Rock cast, so I just got free reign. Got a Type DS rod. What does that look like? Oh, okay, so I had a question about that last time. That makes sense now. So we'll talk about this as the boss loads in. So the Type DS, what that means is it's dual saber. So Type DS is the animation it uses, and the slash is the graphic it uses, just to confirm it. I wasn't sure last time, because I don't usually get those items. Now, ideally, the strategy for this monster would be for me to use Gazan. Even though it's not the enemy's quote-unquote weakness, it's because Gazan can hit multiple parts of the dragon. However, since the dragon's already down by the time I gave that explanation, it's better just to melee and conserve your TP here to build up a little meter. Now, if you're really quick and you time it very well, when he does that animation to straighten up, he'll actually take damage even though he's not supposed to. There's like, I don't know how tight the window is. It's at least 1 frame, maybe it's up to 5. I'm not really sure. But there's an animation where he transitions from staggering to standing to cutscene. And that animation where he's in the standing portion of it, but before the cutscene triggers, he's actually able to take more damage. So normally he's supposed to have a safety health total of 4,000. You can actually cheese it and potentially do thousands of damage as soon as he stands up with properly placed attacks. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's common enough occurrence that it's worth going for every time. There's no downside other than you lose like, I don't know, like 30 TP literally. Like whatever. Like, why not, chat? Just go for the free damage. I just realized something that's unfortunate. I have Cure Freeze equipped, which is good against the final boss, but I don't have a Cure Paralysis. I think I'm gonna lean on Chris to kill the lilies here. So I prefer if Chris just bum rushes the next room. Just deals with them. I'll deal with the other enemies. It's fine. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, you're delaying too much. Oh no, we gotta go. We got things to do. Oh, I'm gonna squeeze by them. Oh, I got really lucky there. I got the special kill. That was very risky since there's a 25% chance it'll miss. But I'll go for it again. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. I'm retreating. I got it that time. We're good. Okay, we can officially enter the room. Now, if you do enough damage, like more than, let's say, 5%. I don't know the exact percentages. I've never actually sat down and calculated, but let's say 5%. If you do more than 5% of the enemy's health total, aka that lily's health total, it'll do an attack where it reels its head back and it lets out a cry, which paralyzes your character. And I really don't want to deal with that. So I was just trying to walk into the other room to dodge that effect. Now, if you leave the room altogether, it'll reset it into the animation where its petals cover itself. Oh, that was actually good timing. And the reason why it doesn't matter if you take it slow for that lily is the only important enemy to kill is this one. So Chris will often just kill the other room while we're waiting for it to do its thing. Or if I happen to be slow, like in this scenario, Chris will probably end up fire trapping the slimes just for free XP. Also, unfortunately, I target his traps as I found out, so I need to pause the menu. I found out the hard way. He actually slowed me down. Chris too good. So here, we're going to be praying for invincibility. Give us invincibility, please, from that versus bosses. Only Chris got it. I'm in big trouble. Okay, well, I can't do the fast strat. It's all on you, Chris. I'm about to take a bazillion damage. Oh, and we still killed the boss anyway. It didn't matter. My favorite tech about this is that this is one of the few cutscenes in the game you can cast spells during. I don't really know why. So I like to pop a little Gafoe every single time the boss dies because it'll open all the boxes naturally. And I can also rebuff in between. That's my little time saver tip, chat. I don't know if you're allowed to move. I think you are during that cutscene, so you could technically walk towards the raft if you're comfortable with what the camera angle gave you. Actually, why am I even meleeing? I shouldn't do that here. I should just switch to magical piece. These enemies are almost all weak to fire with like literally 2 exceptions. And this room is not really one of those exceptions. I still do an okay amount of damage to Sinnoh Red with fire. It's not its weakness, but it's not super resistant to it either. Whereas these robots take full damage from fire, so goodbye, robots. So 6 minutes in, we've killed 2 bosses. We're almost done with the boss rush for episode 1. Kinda gross. It's fine. We'll take our time here a little bit. This is why I call it the V101 run. So all those Sinnohs that... It didn't even reach me. It tried. It tried. I'll give it that. It gets brownie points. But anyway, this is going pretty well. But we're gonna delay a little bit rather than try to clear the area instantly. Wow, I even shot that before it spawned? Oh. I didn't even take the usually forced damage there. Preemptive strike, chat, on the trap that dies in 1 hit. So the Sinnohs in this upcoming room can drop the unit called V101, which I mentioned earlier in the stream is the best unit in the game. I'm hoping I get more of them, but we'll see. Okay, I've had enough of fighting these things. Leaving. Although they are free present bait, I think I'm good. So hopefully Chris will realize I'm going to the south, because I know there's a stream delay. I'll even wait here a little bit. So what I can do is that there will be a red Sinnoh that can spawn in the middle of the room to allow you to exit quicker. I'm going to force spawn him anyway, because that makes the other Sinnohs spawn faster. So it'll be all up to Chris at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and debuff them so they don't do a million damage. Go ahead and start stacking Gafoe. You can see Gafoe does an okay amount of damage, but more importantly, if I stack Gafoe from the previous wave, oh look, I half-healthed them. So Force is extremely strong in episode 1 for speed clearing. So I'm just gonna keep pumping out that Gafoe. Look at that damage we dealt. Nasty. Means asking no Eternia today. Well, we are playing Eternia today. We're just doing one last run. Oh, oops, getting ahead of myself. My bad. Distracted by chat. Alright, let's make up for the mistake. I'll unequip my weapon and get on. We're good. Alright, that enemy's dead. I'm gonna go ahead and unequip this to hopefully get the chain lightning kill. To get the chain lightning kill on the switch, and let's just go to the next boss. I'll stay unarmed for this boss, I think. Oh, I didn't get the cast there. Chris got it, though. There we go. Put out a Gafoe to deal with these. I just want to make sure the red little pillar there gets hit to reset the boss. Gafoe should also stunlock the boss briefly, or it won't, apparently. Multiplayer does strange and fanatical things. Wow, that was the fastest phase 1 we've had in a while. That was actually ridiculously quick. Like, completely by far and large, that was the fastest phase 1. Normally we have to go for one more cycle. That must have been the perfect cycle. I don't know why I did a special attack there. Silly. I think if I had walked more diagonal, I could have multi with that. Anyway, boss is dead. So I'd like to cast a Gafoe here, and then a second one. And that will usually destroy everything. Wow, Chris leveled. Good job, Chris. Getting closer to the 200 cap. Though Razan level 27. Yes, I could take for other players. I normally would not waste time for it, but I'll look for it. Yeah, sure, I'll give that to another player at some point. I'm just gonna go ahead and die fluid out. The upcoming boss, not boss, the upcoming enemy is a Centaur. We're gonna get suddenly Centaured here. Oh, you confused him? Oh, I would not have done that. Scary. Oh, you had frozen shooter, that's why. Okay. That makes more sense. You scared me. I'm like, oh no. Don't confuse him, I'm gonna do so much damage. I'm gonna bypass the enemies there using the pause trick. See if I could get the good old sorcerer killed. So 11 minutes and we just have one boss left. Unfortunately, I feel like half of the run is gonna be that final boss. Dang, boss teleported away. I'm gonna take this opportunity to go this way. I like to call them bosses sometimes. I need to break that habit. That's not a boss. He is a boss though. He can be very annoying depending on what character you are, and he can instantly kill you. So technically he's more threatening than the dragon boss. Okay, so I activated the hidden thing by going up to the other teleporter, and with that we are on our way to the final boss. Wow, 12 minutes. We got here really quick. I have a feeling we are about to get absolutely trash RNG. But you know, it is what it is. Both of us got double invincibility. Nice. I'm gonna hold as straightforward as possible so that I touch the monument as quickly as possible to take advantage of the invincibility. because I got the invincibility here, I can afford to just immediately Rebarda. No repercussions. I can Rebarda again. No repercussions. Last time I'm able to Rebarda, that's fine. Hopefully navigate between these two and get the hit. I'm gonna use that Monomate. Oh, that wasn't enough. Dang. I forgot how much damage it did in multiplayer for some reason. My bad. Rest in peace me, chat. Set damage in this game is real. This is probably my least favorite phase, other than the third phase of the boss. Mostly because the male casting animation, whenever I do that split and I pulled my hand forward, it actually lets me get hit more often by the boss, which is really scary. But in terms of time loss, that was pretty negligible. I think that literally cost a couple of seconds, which is honestly nothing in the long run of this boss. If all I lose is a couple of seconds to this boss, that's fine. So I'm gonna be dealing with these spinners, so that way he can focus on his boss-killing weapon. And then whenever I'm able to, I'm gonna switch back to my own boss weapon, just to contribute to damage. Spells are not worth using at all in multiplayer, which is a complete and total shame. Like, I could technically do lightning here if I really can't target them, but gun is just so much better than spell. It is a monolith. I saw the exclamation mark monolith. Least favorite phase in the game. Here we go. What's it gonna do, chat? Is it gonna cooperate or just be nonsense? Oh, it's sort of cooperating. Unfortunately, it went full screen. I'm gonna go ahead and gel in it so that way Chris does more damage. So this is setting up. If it does that move again, we're good. It did not. Okay, we're not good. Situation no longer good. It missed me completely. How rare. Oh, Chris died. Really, really unfortunate. Oh, he also doesn't have skip though? Or he does? Couldn't tell. I tried mooning, but you were kind of far from me. Dang. Yeah, I'm gonna buff you and stay away from you so we don't stack damage. Oh, do you not have Cure Freeze again? Brave soul not taking Cure Freeze into this fight. So close to death. Nice. Okay, that wasn't a big time loss. Defense up doesn't matter. That's why I didn't bother debanding him there. If you're curious, chat. All of it is set damage and/or elemental damage. Honestly, I feel like deband should have reduced all of the above, to be honest with you. So my only goal is to walk forward, get struck in the face, and hopefully debuff the boss before that happens. Mission accomplished. Oh, it went to Chris. Ooh, that's unlucky. I'm gonna have to be the DPS here. Okay, I don't want to put it quite below half health, but if it gives me another wave, I'm not gonna say no. Actually, at this point, I might as well commit. Okay, so didn't quite skip phase 2, but that's okay. I might actually get Mag Blast on this. Yeah, it gave me Mag Blast. If this gives me invincibility, I'm going in. I think it gave me invincibility. Oh, I'm so dead. Oh, okay. We're good, we're good. We're good. I'm finishing the boss. Goodbye. Oh, look at that clear time. Oh my gosh. Chat, that boss died at like 1636. What a run. That was one of the best runs I think we've ever had, even with the deaths. That was gross. So unfortunately, it counts this really obnoxiously long congratulations and the other cutscene, so it'll probably say 17 minutes, but that was 1636 when the boss died. By the way. Yeah, 1702. That was definitely one of our fastest so far. There we go, chat. That was for you. Goodbye. This is what happens when you use endgame characters. Like, chat, like, could you imagine if I had managed to build the Photon Blast before that? How much faster that final phase would have been? I just didn't take enough damage. I think I have to route taking damage in the run. It's such a weird thing to say. I think I'm actually too tanky. My reward was a Monomate, if it makes you feel better. I got absolutely nothing from this run. Other than the present, I suppose, but it's not a useful item, to be honest with you, chat. don't even know what its special is, but the fact that it only is 30 hit, I don't really care. Oh, it's Devil. Still don't really care. Well, anyway, that was pretty convincing, chat. I love it will probably still give us A rank. It's like, oh, you only beat all 4 bosses in 17 minutes? A rank. Like, that's what you get for dying. Idiot. I love this game sometimes. So hey. Pretty fast experience. We got like about 120 experience a second, I think. It's since chilled out to about 113. So not bad. So again, if we had like a full party of people, that would go even faster, if you can even believe that. Of course it's A rank, it's never S rank. Just whatever, fine. I'll take the 20,000 Meseta though, for sure. So, with that, I think we're gonna say goodbye to PSO. Of course it's always A rank. But yeah, that was a really quick run. As I said before, at minimum, I want to do those kinds of runs every stream while the event is active. It's so fast. Yeah, that was a mostly clean run. I died very stupidly to Spinner. I could have just die-mated instead of mono-mated. I wouldn't have died. So, foolish me. Or, obviously, if I used a tri-mate, I would have been completely fine. So, literally, same strategy, just use better item. I would have been okay. Yeah, I think we got okay RNG on Dark Falls. I mean, she went away from us the first time, but then after that, I think she actually behaved. Where she didn't just decide to glide full screen nonsense, like go to the opposite side of the arena, then you walk towards her, and then she goes back. She didn't do that much of it, fortunately. So we're just gonna go ahead and set up. I'm gonna put it onto the Be Right Back, but I'm also gonna pause the recording. So for the people watching on YouTube, unfortunately, we did not get the V101, and we did not get the Red Ring, and we did not get the Heaven Striker, which is unfortunate. But hey, we tried, and that's a good showcase of what you could do with those events. And for sure, that last run was probably our best one, I would say in general, and I think honestly, definitely the best one on stream. So I'm glad that that happened, if nothing else. But for now, chat, you could say goodbye to YouTube. We're going to be setting up for another game, and we'll be playing a little bit of Eternia. And hopefully things will improve with that game.